everyone.
Started now.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Tom Sidney Bushnell, aka Numbers, here from Sight Club and from the Tom Numbers Show. And I'm here with my buddy, Mr. 141 Mark Attwood, 141 Tom Bushnell, add them together 282, which is 88 miles per hour. How are you, buddy?
Well, I feel like I'm going at 88 miles per hour at the moment, but yeah, I'm good. How are you? When you're still in, where are you, Hawaii?
I'm in Hawaii. I'm in the island of Kauai, which is the furthest most large island. There's about 4 main islands, kind of maybe 7 kind of ish main islands, but the 4 big ones. I'm on Kauai, which is the furthest. And it's a beautiful place. It's I literally did a tour of it over the first 2.5 days with a wonderful person called Janae, who has been here for the best part of 40 years. And she's shown me pretty much all the major things on the island. And it's where they filmed Jurassic Park.
Oh,
Mark. Yeah, nice. So when they first come in on the helicopter, you got what they call the Nepali coast. And I'm tempted to do a helicopter. I might do a helicopter ride of it.
Do it.
But I think I will.
Well, everybody loved that one you did over
Mount Rushmore.
Rushmore, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do this one because you see them all over the place. So to put into perspective, I don't know what it is, maybe, 30 miles across. It's like a kind of roundish kind of square in the ocean. And it has a Grand Canyon. It's called the Waimea Canyon, which is like the Grand Canyon, but it's more green. And it's literally like the Grand Canyon, waterfalls and everything. And then you've got this Nepali coast, which is just kind of heaven on earth. It's incredible. And then rainbows everywhere. I must have seen 10 rainbows in the last 4 or 5 days.
Have you seen a complete circle rainbow?
No.
You should look out for those. I did a show with FPV Angel a couple of months ago, and his take on rainbows is fascinating. He says that I think they're the energetic imprint of mechanical angels.
Huh.
If I remember correctly, you have to go back and look on my channel. We spent the first 2 years of doing all this in reduced circumstances, and me and you between us have done about 40,000 miles in the last 5 weeks.
I know, it's incredible. It's like, it seems to have gone on a level. It's like, okay, people want to meet, we're going to travel 78 Kennedy. So it seems appropriate that we're doing that now, and podcast is 78. So travel, podcast, Kennedy, they're all 78, along with the atomic number for platinum. So anyway, but yeah, it's incredible. And this place is, at first, because it was quite rigorous doing the tour, seeing everything. But the last couple of days, I've just been able to hang out on the beach. And the beach, so talking to rainbows and what you've just said, here you get a beach. There's all these coves, and you get turtles coming up, big, huge, massive turtles coming up onto the beach. There was a seal or a sea lion also yesterday. And then it starts to sprinkle with rain. You'll get 3 or 4 minutes of rain on the beach. And you've got these black chickens coming up on the coast, like on the beach as well, clucking around. And you turn around and there's this massive rainbow, like a full-on Bungle and George rainbow, massive thing,
Jeffrey.
A Roger and Freddie, just a huge rainbow.
Yes.
And apparently, my friend Janine, where she was, we had this place under the trees, and I'd walked on maybe a couple hundred yards, but I spoke to her afterwards. I said, "Did you see the rainbow?" She said, "Yeah." Literally, she was where the pot of gold was, just in front of her. So it's amazing. It's a beautiful place, magical, and you can get these things called, I haven't seen it yet, called a green flash. You might have seen this with your piloting career, but so basically when the sun goes down, if you can see it on a horizon, i.e. the sea, if it goes down and it's clear, no clouds, there will come a point where just before it pops below the horizon, there'll be a green flash, and apparently it's really quite energetic. I haven't seen that yet. I'm hoping maybe today or tomorrow.
I've never seen it.
I saw in Bournemouth a couple of months ago before it came out to the States. So if you see the moon come up from the sea at night, that's bright red. It's almost like a reflection of a sunrise. That's pretty spectacular. I'd never noticed that until a few months ago. But apparently, when the sun goes down, and if it's a horizon, i.e., you can see, just on a flat sea, you'll get a green flash for a second. So I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. But this place is just amazing. There's all these different climates, the sun and the sand is even better than normal sand. Like my feet feel like they're fully exfoliated, just lovely and soft and fresh, and it's incredible.
I could use a bit of that. I went to the beach today in Ireland. It was a little bit different.
Is it a bit chilly?
A little bit colder, yes, shall we say.
Yeah.
It
is making me think of the beaches back home, actually, because I'm thinking, well, I'll be coming back in a few weeks, and I'm like, I do feel like being on the beach, because I did it, as you know, I did it before in the summer, and I'm like, oh, I think I could withstand a cold winter on the beach. Or maybe I'll go sunnier climes, maybe go down to the Mediterranean. I'm not sure. I'm open to all kinds of possibilities. And if anyone's listening and they're here on any of the islands, give me a shout. Maybe we can meet up. I don't know for sure, but I'm on Kauai at the moment, but I may get to the Big Island, and maybe Maui. I don't know, maybe, but just send me an email. Yeah. Well, so tell us about your trip. So I've been telling everyone about this on my channels and on my YouTube. The links are below, but you've got this magnificent trip to Morocco. What day is it? What date's it happening, Mark?
I think it's the 10th to the 18th, or the 9th to the 18th of November. So it's I leave next Tuesday. So I leave in a week. Yeah. I mean, and I've also got this gig in Manchester on Sunday, which is at a magnificent venue and sold out. And that's going to be quite amazing. It's like a healing day with a lot of healers and stuff. And of course, I've just done 17 dates in a row on the tour in America. I think I must be insane, because
I think you are. Not a lot of people know that, but they're beginning to. I think you are.
I think that tour was.
I don't know how you did it. I got to do 1 week, and then the very last afternoon, because you and Janine said, "Come on, let's meet up." I was like, "Yeah, let's do that," because I wanted to meet her, and obviously along with you, invited her along, and she came, and also got Ishmael to come along, which was great. So
did you do that?
Yeah. So I spoke, because I was trying to meet up with him in LA, and he said, "Oh, what are you up to today?" I said, "Well, actually, I'm going on that. You should come down." He said, "I will," and that's when he turned up. Apparently, he'd been invited maybe before, but he hadn't committed. He wasn't going, and then we had a chat, and there he was. So it was nice. It was just a nice ending. It was a nice conclusion.
It was really good. It was really good that you came down. Janine's hilarious. Much more fun than anybody could expect. And I got to meet Ishmael briefly. He was really nice as well. The whole tour was
Ishmael is real. He's not AI.
He's definitely real.
He's definitely real. He's a big unit, isn't he? He's about 6'3".
He looks like a super soldier.
He does. Well, he always jokes about, and I think he might, tongue in cheek, but he always says that he was called Clark Kent. And
I'm not surprised. Look at him.
I know.
Yeah.
And so we've been doing shows last few weeks together, and it was really cool to see him. And I think there's good AI and bad AI. I'm learning about it, but I was like, this new guy suddenly turned out from relatively nowhere, and he's got all this information. I was like, who is he? But we've met him, and he's a real dude, and he was cool. And but he's got some, I'm learning about super soldiers like everyone else, so I'm open to it.
Well, I was following the super soldier story about 10 years ago, and there was a Max Spears. Did you ever see any of interviews with Max Spears?
No.
He was an English super soldier, and he was found dead, I think, by his mother. I think. Don't correct if you're watching this and I've got that wrong. I apologize, but apparently with black goo in him. But he was spilling the beans on lots and lots of things quite a while ago. I think with Kerry Cassidy and some of those stalwart truthers from whose shoulders we stand on top of.
Yeah. Talking of those, I did you saw I did a show with David Icke just a few days ago.
And I was incredibly jealous.
Well, I hope to do some with David, but he was really cool. It was just a really nice, uplifting conversation, about the quantum field and consciousness. And I managed to get, share a few numbers, and he seemed to accept and enjoy those, and it was just really good. Really, really. Couldn't have gone better,
He's really down to earth. I met him twice. I met him when he set up the People's Voice, which was this idea of creating a TV channel, I went to meet these people in Wembley, I think it was, and because I knew their business model wasn't going to work, so I wanted to go and help them. And I met him, and when I first met him, he shook my hand, and I could feel his energy. I lit up like a Christmas tree. And
there you go.
And he said, "The world needs more people like you, Mark." And I was like, "Wow, that's amazing." And then I took my son to see Renegade, the movie premiere in London, and we bumped into him in the toilets.
There you go, as you do.
Yeah,
many people meet there. Yeah, I met him. So I went down to one of the rallies. I wanted to say maybe April, May, maybe even as late as June time. And I met him, and he's been doing a lot of filming. So he mentioned that he's got a series. You go to Iconic, and you'll see that he's got some. He's got a new show. Well, a film they've done, a documentary. But we weren't able to. He said he wouldn't be able to do anything until September. Yeah. And then eventually we got it to October. So it was great. And I didn't know I'd be on the other side of the world at the time in California doing it, but nevertheless we did, and it was great. And I didn't even know. So this is the thing. So everyone's got their opinions on stuff, and I didn't go into this with David, but I did. Obviously, I'm Tom Numbers, so I always am professing the gospel of President Trump. I'm his boy. That's what I do, and so I was respectful of that with David, and
because that's the sticky subject with him.
That's the sticky subject, yeah. And so, but the thing is, I didn't want to get into. It's our first time together, and we've got so much we could talk about anyway. But if you watch the video, so I'm just going to put this out.
People, right, so I watched the first 15 minutes. I don't think I got to the Trump bit.
Okay.
And
so you watch it. So I don't get. What I did is I shared a few numbers with David, and the thing is, he's wearing a bright pink T-shirt, and immediately I know what the word pink is. It's 50. It's America. It's Donald. It's my cousin Paul and my grandmother Eileen who part of the numbers with the orbs, etc. for me. But I said that, and I also talked about 88 miles per hour, as I do with I was in California, which is 88. Anyway, so I peppered a lot of truth, like Q stuff in. But David was fine. We didn't discuss them individually, but get this. So at the end of it, towards the end of it, so I've already used the word Trump and Donald, Melania, Q, JFK, Kennedy, Ivanka a few times, and I blended it in with other things that are appropriate to the conversation as well. And he then uses the word Trumps at the end. David uses the word Trumps, and I'm like, well, we got on great. It was a beautiful interview. There was no conflict or malice or anything. But then he'd heard me say Trump a couple of times, and then he uses. And I talked about Trump cards and top Trumps because it's physically located in Manhattan, and I went past that all around the time when I met Ivanka in 2015. And I was mentioning all this to David, but then he uses the word Trumps a couple of minutes later, and so I was just like, "That's good enough for me,"
It's very interesting. I mean, one of the highlights of my life was going to David's Wembley show, and I think it was like 8,000 people there, and it was a 10-hour show, and he's taught for 10 hours, and it was back when a lot of the information was new to me, and I think 10 or 12 years ago. Just an extraordinary man. With and people who slag him off have never read his books. Right? Yeah, they've just read what they've read in the papers about the reptiles, right? Which took me a while to get my head around.
Yeah, it does. It's pretty on the nose, isn't it? It's pretty, I heard it. My friend Arnie read his book. I think what's the one where he talks about Diana in there? Because I mentioned Diana. I said that yeah. So my friend Arnie, he told me about David's book about 20 years ago. Yeah. And I heard that about reptiles. I'm like, okay, but now it's like, well, I'm open to any possibility of what anything is, and the other thing about it, so when I met him in person, you talked about the energy. I just felt a lot more. I was far more impressed with him in person than I thought I would have been. Put it that way. I didn't think I wouldn't be impressed, but when I met him, I was like, yeah, there's a goodness here to this guy, and a glow and a charisma and everything else. And we shook hands and we got pictures, and we kind of bumped into each other a couple of times and during that time, and confirmed that we'd do the interview. And I just liked him a lot more when I met him in person than I thought I would have done. Not that I didn't think I would, but there was just more to him when I met him. And again, the testament of the show that we've just done was just really, really amazing. And then whether he was winking or not when he used the word trumps, because he obviously could notice I was putting a few pieces in, but I wasn't going over his perhaps line. But then he's referring back to me and using the word trumps. He didn't have to use that. So I don't know. Maybe if there's stuff undercover, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about.
I do. And none of us know anything. We're just trying to work it out. And
yes.
And he's definitely, he's a big part of this whole story. He really is.
Yeah.
And his books are amazing. They're amazing to read. And he really knits everything together brilliantly. And, and then people come out and say, oh, he's a Mason, he's this. And I'm like, well, really? Because we've all had to put up with this, this guy's bad, this guy's good, all this disinformation, people putting 2 and 2 together to make 16. It just, it's very confusing for people. Yeah,
it is. Because it's consciousness, isn't it? It's a war on consciousness. And talking of that, I won't go, the M word you just mentioned, I've thought, well, there must be some good guys in that. And if you're going to infiltrate, if that's the name of the game, then there's going to be both sides doing stuff. So all I can say is I think David's really cool. I was really grateful to do the show. I think we'll do others in the future. And I asked him the question. I said, so this, what's it like for you on this side of it? Because and I thanked him. I said, you were a front runner in all of this decades ago. And it was almost like me saying, well, thank you for your service, sir. It was kind of that. And then I said, well, so how does this feel for you being in this glorious time? Because there's people like me, people like you, Mark, that are waking. We were always awake or in the waking process, but we got activated when the big, when 2020 came in. And so David has seen other people like us kind of almost, get in the current, in the jet stream of what he's produced and pushed forward for decades. And so I asked him that question, and it was interesting and I think, he's quietly grateful and happy to see confirmation of his work and of his bravery being validated in these times.
His bravery was phenomenal, and I think he's a hero for the human race. And I did interview Gareth, his son, and I did bring up the Mr. T question, and he just said, "Look, I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to be wrong, mate." And I was like, "Yeah, because." We would all love him to be wrong.
Yeah, exactly. But watch the whole thing and see what you. But I got my own feeling and conclusion on it. Well, conclusion or thoughts. And when he used the word trumps at the end, he didn't need to, but he did. So, and I see the numbers, I see the codes, and this is the other thing. So I was thinking in my head as we're talking, I want to bring up the color that he's wearing, which is a bright pink. And pink is, as I said, it's 50, it's Donald. But then as I'm thinking that, David then brings up the thing of frequencies of colors.
Yeah.
He brings it up.
Yeah.
It's like we were going back and forth. And I think we almost, I don't know, I'd like to ask him again or off screen and say, were you thinking, because it was like we were kind of tuned in. It's like, this is the framework of what we're going to discuss and how we're going to do it. And I'm thinking, I've got to mention this pink color. And then he, lo and behold, brings up, and colors have a frequency. And I'm like, well, I'm glad you brought that up because this is what this is. So, it was fun. It was really good.
Yeah, I'm still jealous.
That's all right, buddy. I'm used to that with you.
Yes, you are. Well, I've been back how long have I been back? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 days. And I'm still discombobulated. And I've not done a show since like last Wednesday or Tuesday or whatever it was, and I got back on the horse today. But I've got this incredible event on Sunday. I've just had a meeting about that. That's just, but there's train strikes in the UK at the weekend. Yeah, so there's a lot of people who can't make it now. But I'm sure so there's tickets. But then the Morocco retreat You know, this is a funny.
You got something to show us about Morocco?
Well, I'll just tell you this first though, because it's weird. Because this month is possibly the craziest month ever to organize things like this, because there could be craziness happening any minute.
Yeah.
You know, these things could get cancelled at the last minute.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in the room with 107 a week ago in Anaheim in California, and it was like having a military intelligence briefing.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, and he actually shit us up a little bit. And so, you know, it was interesting to see how he was trying to steer the narrative in a certain direction, and giving us advice on what to talk about and what not to talk about. So that was interesting. But he's a very, very interesting character. I'm glad I've met him as well. And
yeah,
I mean, you know, I'd love to know who he is.
Yes.
You know?
So would I. I've got my thoughts.
Yeah, we've all got thoughts.
My thoughts.
But it's a bit like when they went to see Bob Joyce to see if he was Elvis on the tour. I declined. It was an opportunity to get 4 hours more sleep, so I did. But yeah, it's all very interesting. But you know, so everything's in flux. I think I was speaking to Ethan Lucas yesterday, who was on the tour with us. I don't know. Did you meet Ethan? I don't know, but
I think so. No.
Ethan said an interesting line. He said, "This is like a manifesting contest that we're in at the moment." Right?
Yeah.
So you got the good guys trying to manifest stuff and the bad guys trying to manifest stuff. Yeah. It's like, who's going to win? And that's why I'm doing all of these what I think are positive things, like these live events, the tour in the States, the Manchester show, and this Morocco retreat. The retreat in Morocco really, again, came up like everything that I've been doing in the last couple of years, just totally intuitively. And I'm just going to find the link for it. And it was my daughter really that made it happen, because I used to live in Morocco.
Yeah, right? Marrakech. Marrakech.
Yeah, Market Street, Manchester, Marrakesh, Maghreb, Maroc, First Light, Ha, Ka, Wa, Ha, Ti. You know, that's the Lemurian code, and Ma is the first light. We've been in the distorted light. It's all connected. And my daughter was nagging me to go to Morocco. And I was like, really? You really want to go back there? When, you know, we'll just go for a few days. And then I was like, hang on, my friend runs retreats, and she runs retreats in the Sahara, and they're really amazing retreats. And I was like, maybe I should go on a retreat because I'm a bit tired. And then I thought, and then it just entered my head, no, you've got to run a retreat. And I was like, oh, have I? Okay. So that's what we're doing. You know, we've got 50 people coming out, and it's going to be 10 days. And then we start in Marrakesh, 2 days. I'll show you the webpage actually, because I've opened it up for another 48 hours. So it's currently the 31st of October. So I think this will close on the 2nd of November. If anybody watching this wants to come along, we can take more people. I'll just find the screen so you can see what it's about. So it's kind of like all being intuitive. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see it. Looks great.
So it's November the 10th to the 18th. It's a once in a lifetime adventure. I mean, it really is a very special place, the Sahara. It's got zero light pollution. We're going to be able to call in the ships. We're going to, you know, it's just going to be really good. This is the program. Arrive in wonderful Marrakesh, and then we go in 4x4s and a convoy over the Atlas Mountains, the Drar Valley, and Berber country. The Berbers are the indigenous people of Morocco. They're very amazing people. I love the Berbers. And then we go into the Sahara. These tents are really top notch, very, very luxurious. We've got everybody's food's catered for. We've got loads of things that we can do. This is an interesting place as well, which is the Casbah 8 Ben Haddo. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly because I've never been there. I've not yet to go there, but I've been told it's extraordinary. And then there's Katoubia Mosque back in Marrakesh. And then that's it, 9 days. And this is my friend Emma, who runs these retreats, who I actually interviewed on YouTube in 2013. So, because Emma's a real character, and she knows what she doesn't know about Sahara and Morocco and Africa generally isn't worth knowing. So it's a really top-notch thing. But then I'm bringing all these healers. So I've got Ian Welsh coming, Antonia Harmon, Anya Lilly, Lucy Davis, Abby Wynn, and Honey C. Golden's coming over from the States. So Honey's going to be teaching people how to communicate with their higher self. Abby's a Hay House author. She's a phenomenal healer. Lucy is also deeply connected to the spirit world and runs her entire life on that. And she did a recent event in Bournemouth called Soul School, and she sent me a photo of an angel appearing on stage with her while she was talking. So this Anya is my latest find. She's in her 20s from Yorkshire, and she is an amazing medium and healer. Ian has been working with me now for about 3 or 4 months, and
there he is. I've got to do a show with Ian. I haven't spoken to you for a couple of months, but if you're listening, Ian, I'll give you a call and we'll do it, buddy. We'll get Mark on it as well. That would be good.
Well, Ian spent 15 minutes on my mum on the phone, and because my mum's sister died last year, and she was blocking it, like she does that. She blocks all the tragedies in her life. She's blocked, like a lot of us do.
Yeah.
And Ian released it. I just witnessed him healing her in 50. It was just astonishing. Antonia is another one who heals people spontaneously, and she's a real character. So that's going to be fun. And I've explained who everybody is. So I've got a real team of amazing healers. It is really a healing cosmic retreat with spaceships, hopefully.
So that's the thing. You and me, we didn't get the way it works on the tour in the States. We didn't get to see too much. We didn't get too much time together to do it, did we? Because we were
there was zero time on the tour, but I did call in the ships after Devil's Tower and quite a few other, and in Florida and a few other places, and they did show up. This currently says close is October the 30th, so it says zero, but by the time
November the 2nd,
by the time this video goes up, it will be extended to November the 2nd, hopefully. And you're going to put the link below the video. So that's the retreat. I'm actually really looking forward to. I mean, I'm spending too much time away from my kids, but after being locked up for a couple of years, this is like, it's important work. And I think a lot of the people that are going to come on this are healers themselves. And I met a few of them in the States. I spent some time with a couple of people that are coming, and they're just amazing people. You
met Michael, didn't you?
Which
in
Michael?
New York? Long-haired Michael.
Michael Della Rocca.
Yeah, I've been trying to get in touch with him for a while, but I saw you connected with him. How was he?
He's great. Yeah, he's lovely. And he brought Island Clark along. That was in Brooklyn. And it was a horrible venue, but it was like this shitty little room above a shop. But it was the most expensive venue of the whole tour because it's in New York. And but the people that came to that event were absolutely amazing. They were amazing. And
one of my buddies went to it, actually. He told me, because we were going to meet up there, but he told me he went to it. I don't know if you met him. Bob Porco.
I've met thousands of people.
He's a musician. Yeah, you know exactly. You wouldn't remember. But he went to that. Actually, talking of tours, so this is another interesting thing. So the word tour is 74, which is gematria, which is also Jesus. It's Yeshua with an apostrophe. It's Messiah. It's Muhammad. It's London. It's English. What we're speaking. Tours is 93, which is kingship, which is Nazareth, which is Bushnell, Flotus. There's a lot of things. Rachel's she's got 93 in her numbers. But we were having little bits and pieces of this conversation, but maybe it's gone further. We've not had a chance really to talk too much about it. What are your plans for the future for tours? I think there's a big demand for it. Europe, other places,
Well, I'll just say I was sorry I didn't get to meet Rachel in the States. Hi Rachel, if you're watching. But I'll be back. I mean, there is talk of new versions of the tour going to different places in the future. So that's gonna, Lewis Herms is gonna continue with this thing. Just every time he does it, he's learning more and more and more about how to do it. And the events themselves, as you know, because you did, how many did you do? About 5.
So I did the first week, which was 4, and then I did the last afternoon in Anaheim. I mean, I just came along to come and support it and say hi to everyone. So, and give you guys a big cheer because you all deserved it for soldiering on for a month,
It was one of the toughest things I've ever done.
Oh, mate, I can imagine. The thing is, I was prepared to drive. I can drive 12 hours. You know, that
I
day
know.
we did that.
I was in the car with you when you were driving, and wow.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
And I can do that, and I'm prepared to do that. It's just at the other end when you need to sleep and get to sleep, and
It was very
actually have sleep.
It was,
you know, all that, and so those things. It's like, you know, just so I can do that, but it's just anyway. It is what it is, and it was. I was grateful for the experience, and it was fun to meet everyone up. And the things for me, so it was important. I had things I wanted to complete along the way, and one of them was we did Devil's Tower, but even though that kind of was kind of cut short, still did that. But then Mount Rushmore, that was really important. So I thought, well, I need to just stay behind for a few days, do that, which I did, and it was worthwhile doing. And then I had a different journey, but it was great to reconvene, and it was all, you know, high and hugs to everyone. It was fine. It was really good. But so what about you though? Because you've got your retreat, you've got Manchester, we've got the English European thing. What are your thoughts on possible, you know, UK tours or European tours, and maybe other locations under the Mark Attwood 141, and maybe the Tom Bushnell 141 umbrella, the 282s, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we could. I'm open to everything. I mean, I love public speaking, and you know.
Are you kidding me? I thought you were a bit of a shrinking violet. You?
No, I'm not. Unfortunately,
I know.
No,
the thing is, you're unapologetic about it. I love it. It's brilliant, Mark. I'm like that as well, but you're even more so. And it's like you come from theatre and TV and poetry and everything, you know, acting.
Well, for me, it's just about this is totally different to, you know, I did stand up and theatre for years, but this is like totally different because this is about connecting with people, the people that have watched us over the last few years. Because, you know, it's been a lonely job for us doing most of the shows that we've done. So getting out and actually meeting the people is just it's beautiful. It's brilliant. And you know, for me, it's all, I mean, on the tour in the States, it wasn't just the 20 minutes on stage. It was you were talking all day, you know, it was like 10 hours of talking. It wasn't 20 minutes. And it was like, and we just got up and we just did it. And so I think there's lots of potential to do that in the future, as long as people want to come. I mean, when I did the Manchester event, I was shocked that we sold it out in days. And, you know, it's got a capacity of 400 and it's sold out immediately. Yeah. And I was like, wow. And then this retreat, I think just people are just ready. People are ready. They're ready to go on retreats with like-minded people. And they're ready to be healing and to learn, right? So that's what we're doing. So the show in Manchester is called Adventures in a Cosmic Suit Live, because it's not really about TRUTH. It's really about healing and moving forward and being in that room. I think there's just a big demand for people who've been isolated through the last couple of years, because the isolation and the loneliness has been one of the key things that people have appreciated people like us for, because we started talking to them about the things that we've talked about and, you know, cheered them up along the way, which is giving them hope without false hope. I hope so. Judging by the feedback,
you know, you have, because people come, you know, you can tell by the people we've met along the way.
I mean, you know, and you and me did the Great Awakening tour with Charlie and everybody else in May, and that was incredible. But the biggest problem with the UK is venues. So with the venues, the way this Manchester thing came about is I manifested it, I think, because I was talking to somebody about touring in the UK, and I was like, there must be somebody in the audience who's got a venue that's awake. And literally days later, I got an email from this venue, which I am strangely connected to, right? But I'm not telling anybody the venue yet, but I am strangely connected to this venue. And they said, we've been watching your show for 2 years. Can you come and do a gig? And I was like, yeah. And I just had a meeting tonight with them all, and they're just amazing people. So that's going to be incredible. And I'd love to take that on tour or do more with that. But this is like a test for this kind of show. I just don't, you know, it's not a comedy gig. It's not theater. It's a kind of conference stroke, you know, but I'm going to make people laugh, because that's part of the fun of doing all this stuff. But it's going to be a healing event. So it's really somehow I'm now in the spiritual healing world. And it's like, how did that happen? You know, because God works in very mysterious ways. So And then I can see lots more touring going on. I think it's fine to watch people on YouTube and wherever, but really, you seeing them in person is a completely different deal, and people absolutely love it. So if they want us to do it, we'll do it. You know, you and I could go and tour America easily.
Yeah, we could.
Australia,
that'd be great.
New Zealand, and UK, but only if people want it. You know, but I think, you know, I don't know. It's going to be weird. You know, we've got an idea of what's coming.
Yes.
The other side of that, you know, will people? I don't know.
I think it will be more so. Well, as that's it. We don't know how. We've got an idea of what's coming and how it will manifest exactly. We don't fully know, because it always seems to be a work in progress, although it's all completed anyway. You know, that's that dichotomy. But yeah, I think what you said. People want to get out now. People want to travel. They want to meet, and you know, we're accessible. You know, even here on the so I think Jason said this. Jason Q. There was rumors of or thoughts of doing stuff in Hawaii, Australia, Europe, and here in Hawaii. I mean, it's a place I've always known about, but I've never been here in this lifetime, and it's incredible. And there's some places here, and I know, you know, some of the important locals now, and they feel ready to receive this, so they feel it's important that I've come here and met with them and connected with them, and probably a few people you might want to talk to. Actually, there's some interesting people from Hawaii that I think you'd like. But one of the places is this beautiful cave. It's a dry cave. I did a little video on it. I was like, this is the back cave, but you could literally have a seminar there.
Why not?
You could have it there. I don't know. I was saying to Janae about it, and she said, yeah, you could probably do it for a few hours, and she knows people in the local community, you know, kind of council wise. But there were just lots of places here, but there'll be other places all around the globe that we can do things in, you know.
Well, you know, they're very you know, when the tour in the States was also interesting, because I don't think you were there. I met a woman who healed me 5 years ago when I was.
Yeah, I remember you. I didn't meet her, but you told me. I heard your videos talking about it. Yeah.
I think it was in South Carolina. She turned up, and I got her up on the stage, and she's called Jette Turpina. She's Danish, but she lives in the States, and she's an incredible healer. And via a bizarre set of circumstances, I got healed by her, even though she had like a massive waiting list. I got this other friend of mine in Denmark got me up, knew I needed help, says I'll pay for it, I'll sort it out, get in there. And I was always extremely grateful to her, because, you know, I had a lot of spiritual shit to sort out. You know, I've been attacked basically my entire life, so I just had to sort a lot of stuff out. And she really anyway, she came to the tour. It was a beautiful moment meeting her. I got her on the stage. And I've been waffling now. I can't remember why I'm telling this. No, it's gone. That's weird. I was going to tell you something, but it's gone. But the other part of the story was to do with the Celestine prophecy. You ever read that book?
I haven't read it, but I'm aware of it. I haven't read it.
So the Celestine prophecy is a book by James Redfield, I think his name is, and it's. Let me just check his website. I think, yeah, I've got this up here. I'll just show everybody. If they've never read it, I highly recommend it. And there's a website he's got called CelestineVision.com. And this book was given to me 28 years ago in Florida by an artist called Ruth Harley. And it really did change my life, and or got me on the path. You know, it was one of those nuggets, diamonds on the journey. And it turned out Jette is friends with James. And then we had this morning in Colorado, I think it was, somewhere on the tour, where loads of weird things happened in the morning. And I turned to Bruce and Natalie in the car and I said, this is like being in the Celestine prophecy. And then literally 10 minutes later, Jette sent me a WhatsApp saying, oh, by the way, I'm friends with James Redfield and he'd love to speak to you.
There you go.
Which is pure Celestine prophecy, manifesting the same as the venue in Manchester, the retreat in Morocco and everything else. And I don't have the answers. I just know that we are entering this instant manifesting time, but a lot of things are coming to the surface with families and friends and things like this. And there's a lot of darkness that still needs to be faced and integrated, and that's why there's a lot of people suffering from anxiety right now. So, you know, that's why I think these things are needed.
Yeah, I think they are. I've been I've mentioned this before, but there's a TV show on Hulu called 11/22/63, which is about JFK.
What's it
and
called?
It's called 11/22/63.
Okay.
And it's based on a novel actually by Stephen King, but it's about the whole principle of time travel and changing the past to protect and prevent the assassination of JFK. Now, this was shown to me. This has been out since 2016, which was an interesting year, 2016. But I didn't know about this until a few months ago when I was in Iowa, when I was spending time with Rachel and her family, and also her neighbours, Paddy and Tony. And Tony, we were talking about all kinds of stuff, and he said, "Oh, there's a TV show about it." So he introduced me to all these different things on these various, Netflix and all the others. But he said Hulu. So I've not had a chance to see it, but here in Hawaii, where I'm staying, they've actually got it here. So I've been watching it last bit. So this is really interesting. So James, another person I've met along the journey, is James Franco. Now everyone says all this about James Franco because of what happened to him a few years ago. But I've got a little thing.
As in Spider-Man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Him. Yeah.
I thought he was Marina Abramovich sort of hangout friend.
I don't know. So this is an interesting one. So I met him because I met him probably 2018, maybe. So him and his brother came over and they had a film called The Room come up. No, it was based on the film The Room. They came over anyway, they're in Leicester Square. So I met him briefly, said hello to him. But this is literally just a few months before he had all the kind of fallout of, he got the Golden Globe but I've got a theory on this, Mark. So Janine has said about Tom Hanks, and she's saying that he's actually good. So hit me out on this one. So James Franco, I met all of 2 seconds on an elevator. I was going up and he was coming down, and we shook hands. And anyway, but I didn't know he's the guy, the main lead of this TV show. And I'm looking at it, and it's total red pilling. So it's all about, it's like Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Back to the Future, Doctor Who, everything.
Don't get me started on Doctor Who. I'm very upset about that. But carry on.
Well, I've got some good numbers on this. So I did the numbers. So the key date, well, there's a few, but the start point for James Franco, he starts in 2016. So this is when it was filmed. And I didn't know about this show. And I've been talking about the time travel and protection of Kennedy, because I don't, the world concept of what happened then is incorrect and it's confusing. But then the other stuff, even in the truth of it, I don't think it's as it is. I think he was protected somehow, and the numbers have been pointing that to me. But then Tony, who I met a few weeks ago, tells me about this TV show. So the date that you can go back in time, Franco can only go back to the same date. And if he comes back early, everything is kind of undone and it's not made any difference. So the date he goes back is October 21st, 1960. So I looked at that. And if you do October 21st, 1960, spell it out as a long sentence, it comes to 440, which comes to 369. And the remaining value is 71, which is TARDIS, which is your friend. And I thought you'd enjoy that because you pointed this out to me when Kennedy passed in November 22nd. The day after was when Doctor Who came out.
Yep.
And if you do Saturday, because it was a Saturday, November 23rd, the day after, that comes to 369, the test numbers. And witness protection, time travel witness protection is 369. And John Kennedy witness protection is also 369. And we know from our friend Derek Johnson was telling us on that long trip that we did for the 1,200 miles or whatever it was, about the witness protection in the US. How there's 19,000 plus people in witness protection, and each of them have got maybe 3 to 5, 6 people protecting them at any given moment. So it's a huge project. So it's real, and it's there in government websites, US government websites, so or military websites, wherever it is. but anyway, but this show, it dawned on me yesterday. I was like, hang on, I wonder. It'd be good to ask Janine this. I think maybe Franco's a white hat because he's been picked for this show, and then he got the flack really early. And I didn't know about this show, but I've discovered it since. Anyway, it's a thought. He's another person I've met along the journey, and I didn't know he was in the show until I just started watching it a couple of days ago. But nevertheless, I think there might be something to it. We'll see.
The line that we've all read is, what does a good movie take? Good actors, great actors.
I know.
Right? That's the first thing. And the other thing is, good guys are bad and bad guys are good. We don't actually know. And it's because, you've got to confuse the enemy. So it's all things are possible. Yes,
all things are possible. And Hemington put out on the Squirrel Chat group today on the Daily Star being 107, 109, 17, 3 Putins. And I've been saying, that's telling everybody.
Yeah, right in our faces. I shared that on Telegram today.
Telling everybody.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's still people that think that Joe Biden's real.
I know. I'll get this one. So some people, I spent time in Utah, and I would advise anyone to go. Utah is it's a really, I always like going there, but I haven't been there for 3.5 years. But I've got some really good friends there, and people know that, it's a Mormon kind of neighborhood, but you don't feel any kind of angst of crime. Certain parts of the US kind of sometimes looking over, you never feel that there. I want to ask Janine this, but I'll bring it up now because it's come to my mind. So me and her and Rachel did a show the other day about Donald Trump. And I've been saying for a long time, there's at least two. There's POTUS and there's real Donald Trump. And me and her did a show maybe 1.5 years ago. And at the time she said there was maybe 3 or 4 Trumps. And then we looked at it again. She said, it's not 4, it's 3. 3 Trumps. So get this. So this is new, but I'll just tell you what the numbers are. So in Mormon culture, Mormon scriptures, there's 3 guys called the 3 Nephites. And they're basically translated beings. They're time travelers. So they didn't taste of death, but they were preserved up until this point to help usher in the Great Awakening, the Millennium, and Return of Christ, or Return of Christ consciousness, however you want to say it. But my buddy Stuart, who I stayed with, he sometimes comes up with just certain gems, and he was talking I was talking about time travel and JFK. He said, it's like John the Revelator. John, because John was another one that didn't taste of death, along with these 3 Nephites. So I did the numbers on the 3 Nephites, and it comes to 185, Donald John Trump. And I was like, oh. And then what Janine said about the three Trumps, I'm thinking, I wonder if Trump is the 3 Nephites. I don't know. I'm going to ask her that though. But I thought I'd put it out into the community now so people can have a think. And the thing is, the 3 Nephites' names were never mentioned, but the list of the 12. So they came from the 12 disciples of the American continent. So you had Jesus' disciples, Mark the Apostle, 164, Thomas Apostle, 164, Jack Edward Kidd, 164, the Mothership, 164, Rachel Right Side 164. But anyway, so there were some ones on the American continent, according to the Book of Mormon, which is 185, Donald John Trump. But there's 12 names listed, and I went through the numbers yesterday, and I found 3 of them that, if you add them all up together, come to 185 Donald John Trump. So I'm going to ask her anyway. I'm going to see what happens. But that's peculiar that she's identified it as 3 now as opposed to 4. And then I got the codes on the 3 Nephites. So I know this is new for you and other people, but there'll be people that will watch it will know what I'm on about. But basically, the thing to remember is there's 3 beings, according to Mormon culture, scriptures, mythology, however you want to put it, that didn't taste of death, that still can beat the dimensions of time. They can time travel, they can do things for the greater good, and they're still alive today. And then I was like, the 3 Nephites equals 185. That's Donald John Trump. Then Janine says a week later that there's 3 Trumps. And then I found 3 names out of the list of 12 names, and I found 3 that all add up to 185. So I don't know. We'll watch this space, but it's a curious one about this whole thing of time travel, translation, being able to pass through dimensions and bring about the greater good.
Well, yeah, as you were talking, I was thinking of the Trump card, and there's another word for a Trump card. Do you know what that is?
The Matador.
Matador, yeah, that's what 107's been going on about.
Yes,
and that is very interesting, because if you look at the way the Matador operates, it's just wearing the enemy down.
Yeah.
And then before you go in for the kill strike. So I think we everybody
and
sees
Janine's cards are called Trump. Her top Arcana cards are called Trump cards.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got the game top trumps.
Yeah.
Tops. The tops. Do you remember Garbage Pail Kids?
No.
Oh, okay. I discovered the Garbage Pail Kids when I was I don't know, teenager in school. But my cousins from Manchester, so Richard and Paul's the one that died. They came and visited us on a rare occasion, because we didn't really, you know, the North, we didn't see each other that much, but we would. But they had these things called Garbage Pail Kids, which are all these, and there's one of Donald Trump being president.
Ooh.
Yeah. But anyway, the company Tops that makes the bubblegum stickers, Tops as in Top Trumps, but Tops, TOPPS, I mentioned it with David Icke, is there in Manhattan. It's literally just a stone's throw from where the Twin Towers are.
Oh, that's what I was
all on that Magic Island.
Yeah, that's the thing I was going to tell you about Yetta earlier that I forgot. Yetta sent me a map of the vortexes in the US, and we basically followed all of where these vortexes are. So coming back to the tour, it's not just about meeting people and entertaining them or whatever. It's spiritual work, because we were all affecting these places on a multidimensional level. That's the other aspects of these get-togethers. And you know, and as I said at the beginning of the tour, you know, how did we even get into the country? You know, they just waved us in, right? And it just people, everybody that comes to these events is a point of light that can affect the consciousness of everybody around them, thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people, by tuning in their frequency on a multidimensional level. And that's what was happening at a lot of these events, which is the other reason why I think I was questioning whether it would be necessary after what we think is coming.
Yes. And you know what, with all this, we won't say too much on it, but we know, you know, I think we can say the word midterm, that's coming. It's a global thing. It's in the press. And so one has been saying about gut punches, and we're thinking maybe something happens before, and maybe it does. You know, got the whole thing of remember the 5th of November. 5th of November is the date of time travel, went back to the future. And the Twitter things come back into play. So do you remember at the Truth Tour? Yeah. And I did that bit about Elon, because he just was talking about buying it, and there's the Bluebird Motel. But then it kind of went to bed for a while, and it seems, well, it's coming back around now. And it seems like President Trump's going to get, well, if it was a true statement from his office, it looks like he's going to be put back up on Monday, which will be tomorrow. So
well, that's today.
No, today. That's today.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
don't know if he's gone back up yet. Probably not. I haven't heard of it.
I was expecting him to go up today.
Maybe it'll be the next day, or but maybe, I don't know. But maybe the gut punch it's kind of business as usual for what's been going on with the competition. You know, November 8th maybe just goes the way that people haven't necessarily wanted, and it's the same as what happened in 2020. That might be the gut punch, and then maybe things will go from there, because it looks like that's happened in Brazil just yesterday. So I don't know. So as you said, there's all these possibilities on this in this movie, this with all the plot twists, we don't know fully. Do you remember? Oh, where are you? Are you there?
Yeah, that's Twitter. He's still suspended at the moment.
So he's still there. Okay. One thing though, did you notice that he spoke about? So he did his rally at the last weekend, and he spoke about 4-dimensional chess.
There you go.
President Trump said it about 3 times. He's like, who knows about 4-dimensional chess? Who knows about it? I know about it. Who knows about it? Who knows what I want about? I'm like, okay. Because people have been saying it's 5-dimensional or 4-dimensional. If it's above 3, that's it trumps everything, you know? So 4-dimensional chess, i.e. stuff that's going on that you don't necessarily know about.
Yeah.
And he's telling everybody. It's almost like they're telling everybody everything except for telling them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But this is where we're at. You know, this is a multidimensional spiritual war, and you know, I think we're deliberately kept in the dark about some of these things from a spiritual dimensional perspective, because we probably wouldn't have done it if we'd known what it was really going to be like. But we're affecting things, and I don't just mean me and you. I mean anybody that's kind of come here for this time. We're the audience of these shows, and we're all affecting it.
Yeah.
And everything is being disclosed.
Yeah. I did a piece the other day just before I flew to Hawaii, and you met Rosa, my friend Rosa in California.
Yeah. Lovely.
So,
Hello,
yeah. And so literally, in Terminator 2, when
oh yeah,
the truck smashes through onto the wash, the drain system, chases John Connor. That's literally half a mile from where she lives.
Well, that's mad, because when I was flying above California from Nashville the other day, I could see the Hollywood sign over there, and I looked at one of those washes, and I just was really intrigued by it, because they also used it in Greece for the race. I don't know if it was in the same place, but I just remember the car race in Greece.
Yeah, they did. You're right. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously Terminator 2, was it?
Yeah, Terminator 2.
Yeah,
and it's one of the
movies. It was weird that I was, it stood out to me, and I was having a good look at it for 10 minutes.
Because I asked Janine about this the other day. I think there's something special about that physical location, because I did a video. It's about 25 minutes long, and it's just me with a handheld trying to do all the codes. But there's two parts in the film where you see, just before it comes through, you see the bridge name, and it's John Connor's parked up on his bike. He's looking back, thinking he's out of danger. And then he hears the truck coming with the Terminator. And the interesting thing about it, the T-1000 is Robert Patrick. Robert is 78 Kennedy, Patrick's 78 Kennedy. And he was on the lawn in a Trump press, a thing for bikers for Trump back in 2020. So I think it was at the White House. President Trump said, he's like, we've got the T-1000 here, Robert Patrick, the T-1000. And he's a baddie in the show, but I think he's, it seems like he's a good, because he didn't kind of go into the stratosphere in terms of Hollywood career. So I think he was, he's there with President Trump. He's a good guy. And so he's coming through, Robert Patrick, the T-1000, but you see, and they deliberately show you it, the name of the place is Havenhurst Avenue, which comes to 184, which comes to the fifth dimension and fourth density.
Dude.
And I'm in this place is a portal, and I asked Janine, and the card said, whoa, and she kind of, whoa, and then she basically said, there's something to it, but we can't do. The universe won't tell you just yet. And you got drawn to it as well. And Rosa lives down the road, and me and her were friends, and then it's like we come, and then I've always been talking about this, and I'm like, this feels like John Connor land. I look it up on the map, and it's 0.6 of a mile from her home.
Well, the numbers on the tour were off the charts. There was one night in Florida, I just randomly picked a hotel to stay in, and I got in there, and it was on 107th Avenue, and my room number was 333, but it was like that all the way through the tour. There was just crazy numbers everywhere. Q Avenue, there were queues. Queues everywhere. I've just realised it looks a bit like a queue.
There you go. It does.
Yeah, I mean this. I don't know what we're going to do.
You talk about 107. So you just chose 107.
Accidentally.
So John Connor comes to 126. Sarah Connor comes to 126. Comes to Atomic Silver 47. John Atomic Gold 79. But yeah, together is 126. 107 is also 126. And you just talked about 107, which is quantum, which is Trump's, which is military Aquarius. It's all everywhere, Mark.
It is.
And this is another one. This is really not spooky, but this is cool. So I lived and worked in Scotland when I was young, between 19 and 21. My friend Chad in Arizona, I mentioned to you. So I always used to tease him because he looked like the T-1000. He looked like Robert Patrick. He's a good-looking, fit guy, but he's kind of got a unique look. And Chad, I always said, you're the T-1000. But then there was another guy that we used to work with, and his name was Plumber.
Oh, you're right.
And his name was Plumber. But as you see this, as the T-1000 comes up over Havenhurst Avenue, smashes through the barrier, guess what the name of the street name is? It's Plumber. So Chad and Plumber used to work closely, and I basically learned my skill set from Chad, the T-1000. And I used to call him that when we were young 19, 20-year-olds. And I said, you're the T1000. And then this has all come full circle. And now we're in our late 40s. And I'm decoding the film. And I'm like, and I noticed this a year or two ago. I was like, you're the T1000, but our other buddy, Plumber, Spencer, is right there. And it's still there to this day. So you've got Havenhurst Avenue and Plumber. And Plumber is 98 Mission and Independence. And it's like, how on earth is this happening? And the other thing about it, when you add them together, so you do Havenhurst Avenue, that's the bridge name. And then you see the next sign, the next set of numbers is Plumber. Plumber's 98. You add them together is 282, which is 88 miles per hour, which is the whole thing in Back to the Future. So that's coming into it. And then that's you and me. 141, Mark Attwood, 141, Tom Bushnell. When I met Eric Trump, I've got my Back to the Future t-shirt.
Yeah.
88 MP3. That's 125 John Kennedy time travel. But you spell it out fully, it comes to Eric Trump and Tom numbers, is 282, which is Plumber, Havenhurst Avenue. It's like, what the heck's going on? You know?
I've been doing this for 2.5 years. I still don't know. All I know is
it's the biggest, like you say, simulation Matrix game ever. And we're probably going to do like a Total Recall thing and be like, oh, what game did you sign up for? So here you go.
It's what I tell you. If it is a game, it's bloody good.
Oh, it's a really good game. If it is that, it's a really good game. But and the thing is, it speaks to you. It's like the Matrix winks at you, or just is like, oh, there you go. Rachel gets it with the, Mrs. Handy, are you? Kathy, she gets it. People that get it, that get the numbers or get the codes or the tarot or the divine intuition, it's glorious because it's just constant. It's like Pokemon Go on steroids. It's just all the time. I love it.
Speaking of Rachel, I did see Gene Ho speak at he was speaking at one of the events, and he was a phenomenal public speaker.
Yeah, he's great, isn't he?
Really amazing guy. Yeah, I can see why George is in safe hands.
Yeah, it should be coming out, I think, this week, they say.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it going to be printed version or just online?
I think they're going to print it as well. I think it's online and printed.
I think they should.
Yeah, and did you see Gene's video? He's done a little clip on Telegram about Prince. He knew Prince, or he knew someone that worked with Prince. I think he'd met him, associated with him, and Prince, when he became the symbol, it looks very similar to the shape of a certain Jeffrey's Island. We won't say the name, but it looks like the shape of his island.
I never knew that.
Yeah. So you look at, I'll pick it up on Telegram, but the Gene Ho did a little Telegram or a TikTok, it's on Telegram. And he identifies that the symbol that Prince turned into looks kind of a rough shape like Jeffrey's Island, So interesting.
That is
interesting. And Purple Rain. So purple is 88 Trump. And then Guns N' Roses, which is in Back to the Future, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. So the shape of Jeffrey's Island looks a little bit like that. But then you've got Purple Rain, which is 88, which is Trump rain. But then you've got November Rain. I don't know if rain's coming, or is there going to be a rain in November? I don't know. And Guns N' Roses, they're the band in Terminator 2. There you go. Look, so if you tilt that on its side, the way Gene did it, it looks a bit like it,
Yeah, look at that. That's very.
Yeah. So there's a lot more to go in the show, a lot more things coming, but it's
that is very
fascinating.
That is very interesting.
And I don't think he's gone. I don't think Prince has gone.
I hope not. I love Prince. I saw him live once in Manchester 32 years ago. He did. He only did about 50 minutes. We were really annoyed.
I had the chance actually to go. So my friend Tim loved Prince, and he had ticket. He ended up having a spare ticket, but I was actually doing some soccer work up in Scotland that weekend. So I was miles away when he called me. I was up near Livingston. I couldn't get there. But again, I was in Scotland, 88, which is Trump, which is purple. So the whole thing, everything is making sense. Everything is coded. And when people get into the flow of the numbers or the awakening, or whatever, however you want to say it, people can get their own codes. And that's the thing. So when President Trump's talking about full dimension, and I guess beyond, that's why the universe can talk to you and give you your message, and you give me my message, and we could get two different things. They're comparable, you know, they're complementary, but they're personal to you, personal to me. And that's the beauty of it. And you feel it, like you felt the impulse to look down and see that wash. Something attracted you to it.
Yeah, this is the way it works. That's why
that's the key. It's the
it
feeling you get. It's the impulse, and then it's that. You know.
Yeah, because we're being trained effectively. Because I was saying on the tour, 97% junk DNA. No, and I was just saying, is anybody getting I call it the Peter tingle from Spot, because I get this confirmation tingle from head, and it's just got louder and louder and louder over the last 2 years, because I was started to get it in 2020 really properly, and you can't ignore it. You can't ignore it, and this is the thing. And I said, is anybody experiencing more psychic abilities? Is anybody? And they're all yeah, and and this is what's happening, and this is what the awakening is. And I was talking to, I don't know if you met Carol, Maureen Friesen on the tour, but I did a show with her earlier today, and she was saying that the ascension is really.
She's from Canada.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, she was rooming with Janine. I met her. Yeah.
Great lady. And she said the ascension is really this, and it's really this DNA. And I think Ismail says the same thing. It's really the upgrading of the DNA, or the uncovering of the DNA that's been locked away because we've been robbed of it. And I think this is to do with things like deuterium in the water and fluoride. It's a lot to do with the water. Lewis Hearn's made a great film about deuterium in the water on Screw Big Gov, and it's a fascinating subject because that could be one of the key elements on how they've pulled this off. Yeah. And who said watch the water? So
exactly.
It's all linking up.
And the other thing with that is you were talking about DNA. So DNA is code. Yeah. It's code. And so numbers are code, tarots are code.
Yeah.
Poetry even's a code. You're locking in, you're keying into something there. Language is a code. So it's all there. The other thing as well is, people have seen this, but on my Telegram. So when I left California, 88, Trump, we were rerouted up to San Francisco before I went out to Hawaii. And you saw the pictures of this, but I saw they look like big military barges, ships in the sea. And we were told we were rerouting. The pilot said we're rerouting because of military activity off the coast of California.
Yep.
And that was actually on October 26th, which is the first date of the time jump in Back to the Future. It's October 26th when Marty jumps time, goes to November 5th in 1955. And get this, so when my plane ticket, the flight number was 265. And when you spell out the phrase October 26th, it comes to 265. I was like, okay, I got that one as well, thank you. And then we get rerouted. So I don't know what that was about. And then I saw the Top Gun. You and me are big fans of the first and the recent one, and had these two, whether they were jets or they were military aircraft, flanking. I don't know if they knew we were up there. I'm not sure, but they were in the ocean. They were flying around. But then they decided to tarry with us for a few minutes.
Well, they look like F-18s to me, but I'd have to go and check. I'd have to go and check that. But yeah, they're definitely. It's interesting as well. You know what's interesting about that is that why would military aircraft encroach on civilian flight paths? Because they don't generally do that unless they're doing something, unless they're actually active. Because you wouldn't normally do that unless there was an emergency situation or an active situation, because that's what the flight paths are for. I know that because I crossed the Heathrow approach path and delayed 7 passenger jets when I got lost in a light aircraft when I was 17 above London.
17. Yeah. London, 74, Gematria. Yeah, I spoke to one about it, and he said that quite often, I guess, before major exercises, that maybe give people a bit of airtime. But I'm not a pilot, so I don't know, but you'd know this. It was literally, well, you can't cross over that part of the ocean. You got to go up the coastline. Yeah, there are
corridors, literally corridors, and like that. You just have to visualize them, 3D.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't normally, you know, unless they're doing something proper, they wouldn't normally do that. You wouldn't normally, yeah. You don't hear that.
And the bit why that, you know, and then I saw the two, I guess, tank, I don't know what they call them, ships. They look like that, you know, big dark. They didn't look like commercial ones. And then I saw another one a little further up, and then I did see what looked like a cargo ship, but it's brightly coloured. I was like, okay. But then I saw the two planes, and then I see them, get some video, and then they're flanked. They're, you know, a few hundred yards away, level with us. And I'm like, I don't know what that's about, but why would they flank? I know some people joke and say, oh no, Tom Numbers is nowhere, so we'll give it. I'm like, all right, thank you. I don't know what that was. Thank you, sir. Thank you. But it was there, and I don't know, the date was significant. It was the first date in Back to the Future, and 265, October 26th. And then my flight, the number of my flight was AA 265. I'm like, okay.
We had that air show in Cheyenne.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like whether they use resources to not, I don't know. But if they're out and about and they know we're there, maybe, I don't know.
Well, you know, there was versions of that event, but it was very strange that we had a proper air show, and we were the only spectators, and it was right next to us, and they were at 150 feet. You know, they were below the deck. You know, they were. That was not normal.
No, it wasn't. And hey, maybe they are. And if they are, thank you. And whatever it was, we thank you, whether it was deliberate or go with the flow. It was, we got that show, and I got flanked by those planes. And then I get on a Zoom call with you, and I'm seeing a waterfall in Hawaii a few hours later. And it was a magical few days, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm still here, and you're back home, and you've got Manchester and Marrakesh coming up. So
yeah, which is very bizarre. That is bizarre.
It is.
I just realized something else, because I talked about Manchester and Marrakesh on my show about 6, maybe 9 months ago with the Ma.
Yeah.
Right. And then I've just realized I'm going to Manchester and Marrakesh.
Ma.
Where the two places I used to live.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to have to go. It's my bedtime.
All right, buddy. It's late. It's late for you. You got to get your supper. But everyone on my channels on Sight Club and the Tom Numbers Show. I'll probably be posting more on the Tom Numbers Show the next few weeks, but the link's down below. So and you can find me on Telegram and Rumble. And
well, you enjoy the rest of Hawaii. Well, I'll be in touch soon. I'll probably call you from Morocco or something.
I know. I'd love to go. I don't know if I won't. I'm not planning on being back then, but if I don't know if something changes, I'll let you know. But it looks amazing, and hopefully you do some more in the future.
No, I think, you know, retreats are going to be a thing.
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll get this one done. See how it goes down.
Yeah,
but yeah, thanks a lot, man. Take it easy.
Cheers, Mark. All the best, buddy. God bless.